Hello everyone, I am back again doing another breakdown. This time we have a teaser which is sort of a collection of vignettes called Meet Your Gods, and it just goes through a bunch of the characters and gives you a little taste of what's to come with their character in the season. I'm not going to go shot for shot this time because a lot of what we see in this new teaser has been in the previous teasers or trailers. So I'm just going to go over the new stuff or stuff that I think is worth commenting on because there are some pretty interesting reveals in this teaser. We get to see some gods that we haven't seen in any of the previous trailers. So let's get started. Okay, the first vignette or clip is Believe in Bilquis, and it shows Bilquis on the beach, which I think is that beach outside of Odin's Hall. And then in the next shot, she is in what looks like a Christian church, and she seems to be dressed in a medieval outfit, so this could be a medieval church, but those lamps to the left and right look pretty modern. I don't think they had lamps that looked like that in medieval times, so I'm not sure what the timeline is, but she is wearing what looks like a medieval outfit and in a Christian church. And actually Bilquis is a figure in the Bible, so she is affiliated with Christianity as well as the other Abrahamic religions. So in this shot, Bilquis is kissing someone or about to kiss someone, and it actually looks like it's Laura Moon. I mean, you can't see really her eyes or anything, but it kind of looks like her nose and lips.
I accept my wish.
And then we get a shot of her in her full god form in Odin's Hall. And behind her, to her right, appears to be Odin, Mr. Wednesday, in his Odin form there. So she has her back to him, and she's probably talking to the rest of the gods in the room. Next we have Believe in Laura Moon. This one I'm not going to focus on too much because there's not a lot to decipher here. We have this shot, and she's missing her arm, clearly decaying even more. That's Mr. Ibis operating on her, I guess, trying to make her functional. Here we have a shot of Laura and Mad Sweeney on a bridge, and she jumps off the bridge and lands on a truck, some sort of an armored truck, and she rips the top off it. And then we have another shot in what looks like her escaping the truck. So this truck, it might be the truck where Shadow is being held. In the previous teaser, we saw shots of him being held in some sort of like a high-tech contraption, and it could be that they're trying to rescue him. But the inside of the truck looks kind of like a military-grade armored truck, so it probably belongs to Mr. World.
Gods are gonna be planning your funeral.
Believe in Luck, and we see Mad Sweeney again in this ancient Celtic battle. And we have a shot of Mad Sweeney, I believe, inside whatever that truck is, that military truck. So we have this shot again of Mad Sweeney fighting a giant, which we saw in the previous trailer. I wanted to actually go over this one again because in the comments of the last one, I heard some pretty good theories about who this giant is, and some people believe it's Balor of the Evil Eye, who in Irish mythology is the leader of the Fomorians, the race of Irish giants. And in the Irish mythological cycles, which is Irish mythology that recounts these multiple invasions of Ireland by different mythological races, including the Tuatha De Danann, in that mythology, Balor and the Fomorians, the giants, fight the Tuatha De Danann, who are like the Irish gods. So it's possible that what we're seeing here is a battle between the Tuatha De Danann and the Fomorians, which in a way would make sense because some people believe that fairy mythology and leprechaun mythology is actually adapted from mythology about the Tuatha De Danann. So in a way, if Mad Sweeney is a leprechaun, maybe he's sort of evolved from one of the Tuatha De Danann, but that's just a theory. A way to know if it was true is if we could see this giant's eyes. Usually he's portrayed as a cyclops, or he has one eye, but we can't really see what his eyes look like in this shot, so we'll have to see. Believe in Mr. Ibis, and we have him operating on a corpse, operating on Laura Moon, and writing his stories, his Coming to America stories. Believe in Mr. Nancy. So we have Mr. Nancy here at the House on the Rock wearing a pretty nice suit, kind of a very dapper blue suit. He's described as always being well-dressed in the book, and also in Anansi Boys, the sequel book to American Gods that he appears in as well. So I like the costume design they're going with. And here we have a first shot of Mr. Nancy in his full god form as Anansi the Spider Spirit. And here we have a shot, a full reveal of a god which I believe we saw in the first trailer for Season 2. I thought she looked a bit Japanese, and it turned out I was right. But at the time, I speculated that she might be a kitsune, a fox spirit, because there are some kitsune in the book. But now that we see her face, I believe she is actually a kami, a Japanese god of the Shinto religion. And I believe she is either Amaterasu, the sun goddess of the Shinto religion, based on the sort of fire coming out of her head and that sort of sun-like headdress. But because her face looks kind of decayed, it makes me think that she's actually Izanami, who is a Japanese goddess of death and rebirth. Izanami and her brother Izanagi are kind of like the equivalent to Adam and Eve in the Shinto religion. In the mythology, Izanami dies in childbirth, and Izanagi tries to retrieve her from the underworld, but when he sees her in the underworld, she is decayed and kind of looks like a zombie. So that would explain why this woman's face looks so decayed, if she is Izanami. Now this goddess, with what looks like blue hair, and she's wearing something that looks like pearls, we haven't seen before, and I'm really not sure who she is. I was trying to figure out what characters from the book it might be, and the book mentions the Morgan, who is an Irish goddess of war, who is also 3 separate beings, 3 separate sisters, but she's described in the book as looking very different from this. So I'm not sure who that is. This could be a Norse goddess like Frigga, Odin's wife, or it could be a Greek goddess like Athena, or even Ishtar, who's a Mesopotamian goddess. But really, I don't know for sure. So if you have any theories about who this is, let me know in the comments. So here we have a shot revealing a bunch of gods, and I'll try to figure them out going left to right. So on the far left we have the Japanese goddess we saw earlier, Amaterasu or Izanami, whichever one it is. Next to her we have Bilquis. Next to Bilquis we have Shadow. Then to the right of that fire in the middle we have Chernobog, and to Chernobog's right, I believe that is Zoria Vachernaya, who we saw in the previous season. And now that she is in her god form, her head is glowing, because I guess she's the evening star. That's what the god represents. So her head is glowing like a star. Behind them, there appears to be another god, but it's really hard to make out any details. To Zoria Vacharnaya's right, we have Mamaji in her full god form as the Hindu goddess Kali. And then to her right is a god with a cape, long gray hair, and a long gray beard. Who is it? I'm actually not sure. It could be Zeus. At first I thought it might be Alvis, who is the dwarf that appears in the scene in the book, but apparently on the IMDb page they've cast an actor, Jeremy Raymond, to play not Alvis, but Dvalin, another dwarf from Norse mythology, and I believe they're going to swap out Alvis for Dvalin. But in any case, that doesn't look like who it is, so really I better not speculate too much on this gray-bearded god here, because I don't have any solid theories. But if you do, let me know in the comments. And here we have another shot of Mr. Nancy as Anansi, and as you can see, he's got multiple eyes now, like a spider. Here we have a quick shot of Kali. And this goddess, I'm actually not sure who it is, but on the IMDb page, they've revealed that the Egyptian goddess Bast will be in this show. She's played by Sana Assad, so it's possible that's who this is. But it's hard to tell because there's really not much to go on. Another shot of Anansi making a speech to the other gods. Believe in Mr. Wednesday. And most of these shots of Mr. Wednesday are shots we've seen in the previous trailers, but I will point out this one detail. Behind him the sign says Regius Theatre, which may be a reference to the Codex Regius, which is a very important Old Norse manuscript. But the rest of these shots are mainly shots we've seen before. And an end shot with him in his god form. Believe in Mr. World.
I am the man behind the man behind the man.
So Mr. World says he's the man behind the man behind the man, which I believe is revealing what Mr. World is, which I believe he's sort of a god of not conspiracy theories, but sort of the belief that conspiracies lead to, that there is this sort of like shadow power behind the government and all these different constructs of power that we see. There is some sort of like shadowy figure behind them all.
Let them know what real sacrifice feels like.
And he's pressing a red button, launching the nukes.
The war begins.
Believe in Saleem. All these shots of Saleem we've seen before, except in this one shot we see him carrying what looks like a guitar case or an instrument of some kind. So I guess we'll get to see him playing some music in this season. Believe in Shadow Moon.
I lost everyone that I ever cared about.
So Shadow is fighting with someone, and we saw these shots in the previous trailers.
Lost my leg.
And then he gets picked up by something almost like a UFO, which kind of plays into Mr. World, because like I said, Mr. World is kind of like a god of conspiracy theories, including things like the Men in Black and UFOs.
Every ending.
He goes to this high-tech contraption where they are either trying to extract information from him or put information into his brain.
There's a new beginning, and I welcome it.
Believe in Technical Boy. They're really going all out with Technical Boy's hair in this season. I like this shot. There's the news guy in the back says, "Does your cat hate you?" And then right above him it says Kawaii Media, which I think has reference to the new media that we'll get in this season, because she seems to be referencing Japanese pop culture, kawaii culture.
Are desiccating. I am handing you the future on a platter.
Believe in the Jinn. So it looks like the Jinn and Saleem are in the house on the rock here, and there's some sort of a statue that looks a bit Arabic, I guess. So I guess it's a weird reference to him in some way.
Go anywhere you wanted.
Not much else I can comment on that section.
You still want to come with me?
So that's it for this teaser. It's interesting to see some of the faces of the gods that we saw the backs of in the first trailer. And the more trailers and teasers I see of Season 2 makes me more and more excited to see it. It seems like it's going to be pretty cool. I don't think we got this many gods being gods in the first season. So we should get some really cool kind of like fantasy sequences in this season. And it'll be interesting to see what gods they bring into the show, because they've already proven that they're not afraid to bring in gods that are not in the book. So that should be pretty interesting to see who they bring in. It could be any number of gods from any number of mythology or religions. It'll be cool to try and pick apart who it is in each episode. But that's it for now. Thanks for joining me again. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more breakdowns of American Gods and also more videos on cool stuff. Until next time.